here to kick off officially the brand new courts, brand new tennis courts and pickleball courts at Buttonwood Park. And so it requires a little bit of storytelling to begin with. So this site for decades was the center of tennis activity in southeastern Massachusetts, certainly the greater New Bedford area. And this is where tournaments were held. It was very, very competitive. And lots of people, lots of really great tennis players from the city and from our suburbs learned to play here. And lots of great players who played for all the surrounding high schools. Some went on to be great college players, learned in this particular place. And over the years, unfortunately, the city didn't reinvest in the facility, and so it really started to deteriorate, and people started to go elsewhere. And we're here today basically to say, you know, this is another example of New Bedford reinvesting in itself. This is a great place. Buttonwood Park is just one of the great public parks in America, and one of the things that it makes it great is the really functional, highly functional, and welcoming, and clean and neat recreational spaces. You know, we've just built, you know, thanks to the partnership between the city and the Friends of Buttonwood Park. The new basketball courts over there, which are actually like 3 or 4 years old right now, but but again, that's the center of pickup basketball in the region, and it deserves to. Our residents deserve to have facilities that look like that and look like this. So we've put money into this place. So I just by the tail of the tape, just want to be exact about this. This is about a $102,000 investment of city funds to pick up these courts to make them look just so. We were guided by the work of many folks, but we had a consultant in from the USTA who couldn't be with us today, but Christy Bennett, who represents the United States Tennis Association, helped us in redesigning these courts so they could be up to USTA standards, because again, we really want it to be polished, we want it to be sharp, and so we want to thank the USTA for doing that. And you know, the USTA has emphasized, as have we really want a lot of kids coming here to play, to learn how to play the game, to have fun with their friends, and to improve themselves. Lots of other folks who were here that I just want to recognize. I want to recognize, of course, the Friends of Buttonwood Park. Richard Leary is here, other members of the park. Friends of the Park are here who do a great job in stewarding this place. It isn't enough for city government to take care of a great public space like Buttonwood Park alone. It's so important that we have folks who live nearby and folks who love the park, otherwise who might not live by, spending time, spending resources, their own money, and spreading the word about this place. And they do such a great job. And I really do want to single out the Friends for their work. They should know that they've got a strong partner in city government, but they do so much work, and often unheralded. I am a dues-paying member myself. Where are you, Richard? I'm a little biased, but you know, the West End certainly benefits from their work, and everybody who comes to Buttonwood Park certainly benefits from their work. I want to thank everybody in city government who played a part. Christina Connolly, the city's chief operating officer. Mary Raposa, where's Mary? Mary's right here. Our Parks, Recreation, and Beaches Director, DPI. Everybody who did a really nice job making this project go. I do want to thank also the contractor, again, another niche contractor, Hiding Tennis, Tom Hiding, who's a professional contractor based in Connecticut, who, you know, again, put the work into it. It looks great. The other thing I just want to note too is it's not just tennis, it's also a game that's new to a lot of people, at least here, but not so much in Florida, where it's played all year long, and that's pickleball, which is sort of like a hybrid between tennis and ping pong. It's like big ping pong or small tennis. So you'll see the blue lines that are drawn on the court to mark the boundaries of the pickleball surface, but it's basically done with a smaller net. It's wildly popular in Florida. And we've got a lot of people in the city that go to Florida in the wintertime. They play it there, and now they want to play it here, and I think that's great. It's definitely something that, that lots of people who don't want to run around a tennis court can play, and they can play with their kids or their grandchildren. All good. So we have that going for us now too. So New Bedford is keeping up with the times recreationally speaking. And you know, the other person I just want to thank, and this is really important, is a really good friend of. Actually, two things. I want to thank the City Council for their support of for all these projects. In particular, the last two Ward 5 councilors were strong advocates for these courts. Kerry Winterson and Scott Lima, the current councilor, both really wanted to see this through. They couldn't make it today, but they were here. They're here in spirit, and they certainly have put the time in to advocate for it. And I also want to thank a private donor. Who is a good friend of the city, a great friend of New Bedford, and that's Dr. Paul Chevensky. Paul couldn't be here today, but Paul's just a fabulous guy. He's been so generous with the city over the years. Paul's, you know, is born and bred New Bedford, was a World War II Navy veteran, the leading allergist in the city for decades, someone who was not only a great practitioner, but also produced a considerable volume of scholarly work in his field, and just an all-around great guy and just a very, very generous support of so many things having to do with recreation and education in our city. And Paul, for this particular project, and nobody twisted his arm. He just heard about it, and he played here for many years. He donated $28,000. To help with the fencing here, just so it could look just so. So I want to thank Dr. Paul Chevensky for his generosity. He's a great friend of the city, and we're just so pleased that he stepped up in that way. So with all that, I think that's more or less it. So we don't have a ribbon to cut. So I guess we're going to try to serve, and I'll just add this disqualifier. So I'm not a tennis player. I'm about to serve here. My daughter, Grace, just played at New Bedford High School, so I was kind of her sparring partner. So all the tennis I know from her. But we'll kick off the court with that. Mary, does that sound good?
That sounds awesome.
All right, so I do want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for all the help along the way. Really, this looks really sharp, and it's ready to go. I think we're ready to go. So with all that, we'll go ahead and do the ceremonial first serve, and I'll be done talking.